Well, hey, friends, we're back again for another podcast about, I have to do it this time of year. I have to. I have to be talking about what you can do to fix your business because we are rolling into a new year. And that means brand new whiteboard, clean sheet of paper. You get to create whatever you want to create. So last week I talked about kind of a new focus that we're going to take next year to help you take some action steps that are very specific. If you want to just kind of take the slow boat, I will help you get there. You can take the fast boat in Clinical Business Academy. Still, I'm going to get you there. So next year, starting in January, in just a few weeks, can you believe that? Oh my gosh. Yes. And anyway, we're going to do all the things. And for those of you that are listening later, this doesn't apply to you, but Merry Christmas tomorrow for all of you that are listening today on Christmas Eve. Anyway, we are going to talk today, though, about systems and why systems matter more than the hustle. We often think that in, growing a business that we want to be more streamlined, we want to be more organized, but that's not always really what we need. We think we want to be more organized, and that means putting all the things away off your desk and filing those papers, and that's definitely part of it. But we also want to think about what's below the surface. How do we prevent that from happening? So a simple example that I'll give you is, let's say that you pick up the mail. I heard this a long time ago, and it always stuck with me. That you go out to the mailbox and you get the mail and you bring your mail and you sit it down on the counter. And you've touched it once. And then it sits there, and then you get back to it and you kind of rifle through and you pick through each one and you're like, oh yeah, that's junk. That's a bill. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's something, an EOB from an insurance. That's a. You go through the stack and you kind of know what's in, and then you leave it again. So that's touch point number 2. And then a little bit later, you're like, I really should get to that mail. And then you go through it and you pull out the stuff that's junk. You're like, oh, that's throwaway. That's throwaway. You pull all that out. And then you think, I'm going to put it in the trash. So you put that in the trash. There's touch point number 3. But yet the bills and the other things that are important are still sitting there. And then you get back to it a little bit later and you think, okay, I'll open this up. And then you open it up and you take the bill out or you take out whatever's in there, and then it lays on the counter. And then you think, okay, I'll got to go file that, or I'll go put that in the bill file or the to pay, or however you have your system organized. And you know where I'm going with this, right? That pile of mail, we ended up touching it 50 times before we did anything with it. And I'm guilty of that. I am so guilty of that. So what I want to talk to you about is, what if I had a system? Think about my mail example. What if I had a system that I lined it out, like I thought about it? Okay, what is going to allow me to be really efficient with my mail? How can I do this with my mail so I don't touch it so many times? Because I could really handle it the first time. So what if my system was something like A, and bear with me, this is a really oversimplified explanation, but A, get the mail from the mailbox. Step 2, sort the mail, junk, bills, other. Maybe that's how you want to do the system. Step 3, throw all the junk mail in the trash. Step 4, open all the bills and decide, is this a pay now, pay later? And then step 5 is, with the other, open the other, look at the other and determine, does it need to stay or does it need to go? Sometimes you open up something and you think, I don't even need this, and it's a trash. But do you see how now I have a system? I know what it is. I thought it through. Okay, this is how I want to do it. And then every time you get the mail, you just follow the system. Now, what if you had an assistant? Again, go with me on this example. If you had an assistant and you had someone that was checking your mail for you, and the mail checker, you said, here's the system. And now the mail checker knows these are the things that come that look like bills. You're going to do this with them. The things that you know are junk mail, you're going to throw them away. And the things that you're not sure, you're going to put them in this folder. Do you see? Again, the system saved so much time and it created efficiency so that now when you're ready to sit down and pay the bills, you don't have to go through a stack of mail or think, where was that pile? Where did I put it? It's here somewhere. I remember that bill or that, my insurance card came. I don't know where it is. And listen, I'm talking to you out of my own personal experience. And if I think about it at the end of the show today, I'll tell you a funny story. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll do it at the end. It's related to this. So anyway, if you see how the system makes life so much easier. So in this week's podcast, I want to share with you some reasons why you may want to think about systems, and then I'm going to give you an example or kind of a 3-step process that you could follow that'll help you start to think about creating system. All right. So your hustle in your business, think about that stack of mail, right? I go through it one time because I'm in a hurry. I just go through it one time and then just stays there. The hustle is the overwhelmed part. Dinner's cooking, somebody's coming over, the kids have to go to soccer. I got to go meet these people. I have something to do. And so we get busy and we just go through it. And it's a busy activity, but it's not solving a problem with our mail because it's still sitting there, not organized, and nothing's done with it. Now it's just one more thing to bother us. Our pain points in our business, whether it's mail at home, mail at work, whatever it is, but our biggest pain point is that we are disorganized. We are too busy. We're taking care of people and we're trying to run a business, and the little things get piled up, just like the stack of mail. So when you have a system for everything, and I know that feels really overwhelming because it does to me too. I get overwhelmed when I think about this a little bit, but I'll share some of my strategies in a bit. But when we have a system, now I don't have to think about it because just like the mail, I wrote it down. And so even if it's on a little 3x5 card, you're like, I need to know how to remember how to do my mail system. Fine. Eventually you'll get it and it'll become memory for you. But that system is written. Step 1, get the mail. Step 2, this. Step 3, step 4, step 5. And within 3 minutes, 5 minutes at the most, mail handled. Done. Now it's off your plate, out of your brain, and you don't ever have to think about it again. It's not lingering over there, sucking up your energy. So let's talk for a minute about what a system is. A system is nothing more than a series of documented steps that allow you to do the same thing in a consistent manner over and over and over again. And it saves you time and it creates a repeatable outcome. So you can apply this concept of a system in your business. You can apply it to, let's say, your new patient intake process. How do you create a very streamlined, efficient new patient process? Well, step 1, first, you send them the intake forms. Second, they send the intake form back. Third, we download them and save them in the EMR. Fourth, and you see, you just write out those systems. It might be for follow-ups, patient follow-up. You may need a system for that. Or financial evaluation when you meet with your accountant. What is the system for you preparing for that meeting? Or what is the system for you to look at your revenue at the end of the week? Those are all little things that if you just take a few minutes and you say, okay, these are the step by step by step by step, this is how it needs to be done. And I know if you're a solopreneur, you're thinking, this is stupid. Why are we even talking about this? Click, I'm out. Because you think, well, I don't need them because they're all in my head. Yeah, that's the problem, is that they're all in your head. You know, something happens and you're unable to work. We won't go down the dark path, but something happens and you can't go to work and you have to find somebody to come in and run the business. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's you have to hire another chiropractor to come in. If all of that is in your head, how is anyone else ever going to do it? If you're the only one that's answering the phone, responding to emails, ordering supplements, you have all the passwords, you know all the things, you don't ever have to do it because you do it all yourself. What happens if you can't? And I know 2 practitioners personally that happened to, and like I think one of them fell off of a ladder and broke a leg, could get on the computer, but couldn't work, couldn't adjust, couldn't do anything. People didn't know where the passwords were, how to get into it was a nightmare. And she said, never again. I now know why it's so important to have all this documented. It's like a manual, right? Has all the information in it that you need to run your business or run your home. But I'm specifically talking about business. So when we have these systems in place, number 1, they're going to increase your efficiency. You're going to get more things done in a shorter amount of time. And that's always our bugaboo, right? We don't have enough time. So the systems are going to give you back your time. They're going to make sure that the same process gets done every single time and it's documented. So when you have a staff person, let's say, and they're not performing the way that you think they ought to perform, you can then say, hey, listen, Emily, I thought we had this written down. In fact, here it is all written down, this system, and here are the steps. And I know that we've talked about this before. Can you help me understand why the steps aren't working for you and what we can do to solve this problem? And now all of a sudden, Emily's like, ooh, we caught that red-handed. I wasn't following the system. Sorry, I will now. But you have a way to be able to benchmark their performance so you can evaluate them based on their adherence and compliance to these systems. So for you, for your staff, for anyone else that you delegate, these systems are going to create much greater efficiency in your business. The second thing is that it gets you out of the middle of things. How many times in a business, especially if you have staff, if you're a solo practitioner, you're obviously making all the decisions. But for me, I know for me, I will make a decision. My team will come to me and say, is this okay? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm the bottleneck. And it's because there's no system. And then I think, okay, well, if you have to keep coming and asking me, then we haven't created the right system yet. We don't have that figured out yet. So we need to figure out a system so you don't have to come to me, because I don't want to be involved in every single decision. If there's a system and everybody's following it, then I already know how it works. I'm good. Just follow the system and we're good. You don't even need to involve me. Number 3, systems allow you to scale more quickly. They allow you to have more patience moving through the door. You don't get bottlenecked in the back or at the front desk or with follow-ups or ordering supplements, picking up supplements. The systems allow you to grow faster. They allow you to be more efficient, so then you can scale your growth. So in my opinion, I do not believe that a business can grow without systems. I really, really believe that. And I used to be kind of an anti-system, and it's just my sassy, rebellious, probably personality that's like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what I can't do, because then I will do it. But I think I just didn't ever want to have this. I felt like the systems were going to control me. Isn't that just weird and kind of twisted? But it's true. I felt like they were going to control me. So whether I just push back against them, I'm like, no calendar is going to manage me. No systems are going to manage me. I shot myself in the foot big time. And now I'm the first one to say, let's add that to the SOP. Let's add that as a system, as a process, right? A standard operating procedure. And now both companies completely run. I mean, we have systems for everything, but we've been working at it for a while. So don't get overwhelmed. I'm going to tell you how to get started. Also, when you are consistent, it builds trust. Now I'll use a really bad example. So let's just say, whatever it is, you go to a department store and you have a great experience, really great experience. And the next time you go, it's different. And the next time you go, it's not as good. And then the next time it's like mediocre. And then you have a really great experience again. That doesn't feel safe because it's not predictable. I don't know what's going to happen when I go. So then people don't go back. But for your patients, when you can create consistency, it builds trust. They notice that your practice is running like a well-oiled machine. And that consistent experience from the time that you onboard them all the way through to the follow-up appointments, it makes them feel cared for. They feel confident in your ability. It conveys that you care and that you know what you're doing. So having the consistent systems allows consistency for the patient, because when they know what to expect, they're far more likely to follow through on the process and get the results that you want. So their outcomes are better. This is number 5, better patient outcomes, because they're more enrolled in the process. They feel safe. They feel taken care of. They know that you've got it all under control and it's all organized. You're going to get the same burger every time you show up at your office. So then lastly, it really does give you a lot more time freedom. I know it's a lot of work to make them, admitted, but the investment is so worth it, because what you're going to find is as you create these systems one at a time, you're going to start to get more time freedom and things are going to start to work without you. Back to the mail example. The mail, it just sits on the counter or it sits on the corner of your desk, and then the next mail, and then the next mail, and the next mail. Then you have to go out of town unexpectedly, and now you have all this unsorted mail, and now you're late on the bills. And now you missed one, and now there's a late fee. Do you see how this is so inefficient? And then you have stress because then you miss the bills and blah, blah, blah. So what we want to do is create these systems that allow you to have greater efficiency. So now, how are we going to do this? I've got 3 steps. This is so easy. 3 steps. Number 1, here's what I want you to do. You're going to start to build systems. I want you to just think of one thing. This is number 1. What is one thing in your business that's causing you significant stress? I like to kind of make the analogy, it's like the rock in your shoe. If you're taking a walk out somewhere and you just have this little pebble in your shoe, I just had this happen a few weeks ago, and I didn't take the rock out of my shoe for like 3 days, and I just kept getting irritated all day long that had this thing that was moving around in my shoe irritating. It didn't keep me from walking and it didn't keep me from doing my job, but it was just an irritant. Something's not right. What is that rock in your shoe in your business? If you remove the rock, i.e., we create a system, we get the rock, the thing that's not working out of the way, create a system. Now there's ease. Now I'm not distracted from what I need to be doing and thinking about this dumb rock in my shoe. What is the thing that you can do? You can create a system for the something in your business that's just not working well. You might say it's patient follow-up, or it's rescheduling, or they're ghosting me, or I'm running out of supplements all the time, or call me back, or I've got a problem with MailChimp. I can't make MailChimp work to send out my emails. Whatever that number one thing that's causing that rock in your shoe, it's really irritating you, find that thing, number one. Number two, you're going to map out the steps, just like with the mail, but you got to think about it. Like, okay, what's working with this system? Write that down first. What's working? And you write down all the things. Okay, yeah, it's working that, the mail is coming in and it's laying down. That's good. Someone's getting the mail. That's working. And what else is working? Nothing, because it's just sitting there. So then your next thing you could say is what's not working? Well, it's not working that I don't spend time going through the stack of mail. That's not working for me. What's not working is it's wasting my time because I end up going through it 3 or 4 times before I get the situation handled, right? You want to write down what's not working and then decide what do you need to do to fix it. And you just write down the steps. Step 1, do this. Step 2 for this. So if it's MailChimp, what is the problem? The problem is you can't send your emails for some reason. Okay, step 1, what do I need to do first? The system is load the email. Maybe before you do that system, you got to get it working. So you call MailChimp or you send them a support ticket. But you just think about what are the steps that need to happen in order for me to make sure that I can execute my emails or solve a problem or speak with an employee or make sure that follow-ups are happening. Whatever it is, whatever the rock in your shoe is, find the rock, map out the systems, and look for where it's not working. What's not working and how can you do it better? And then lastly, you're going to just implement. Now, a caveat here is the first time you implement a system, it's probably not going to be quite right. And that's okay, because when the system doesn't work, the good news is that just tells you where you need to fix it. That's all. So it's kind of like putting it under pressure, seeing if it's going to explode. You want it to handle the pressure. So when you put it under pressure and you start to work that system in your business, just pick one. You don't have to do a bunch, just pick one. And when you start to work that system, all of a sudden you go, oh, yeah, this part's not working at all. I need to go back and tweak the system. That's all. So these systems, they're just so important. So don't feel bad, if it's not working. Don't feel bad about that. Just start over. Pick the one thing that's not working. Write down what you need to do differently, and then create the steps or the map that allow you to create that system. Because you deserve a well-oiled, efficient business. Your patients want to know that when they walk in, they get the same greeting and the same experience and the same cup of tea or the same whatever you're doing with them. They want to know that it's the same every single time. And the systems are the key that make that work. So there you go. That's what I have to tell you this week. Remember, if you have not been listening, Clinical Business Academy is open through the end of the year. The price is going to go up in January. I would really love to have you join me. This is where you're going to take your little business, your little wellness practice, and I promise you, if you will do the work, if you will show up and you will do the things, you will not have any trouble. You will make your investment back in a heartbeat, and you will grow your practice so fast. 2025, my friend, is going to be your year. It's going to be your year. If you let me help you, I can get you there. I promise you that. So you go to rondanelson.com/CBA. And if you do it before the end of the year, there is a $500 coupon that you can use to take $500 off the price. And that's just my gift to you and my thank you to say, do it now before the price goes up, because it's going up by several $1,000s. Don't let that scare you. but it is going up. So now's the time for you to be able to do that. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love sharing all of this with you, and Merry Christmas tomorrow. Oh, I got to tell you my one last thing before we go. So we were talking about like mail and a messy desk or messy things. I just recently saw something that made me, and it's relevant for this conversation. And so we'll end with this, that this guy was in, it was probably on Instagram, one of the little reels or something. And he said, I hate to even admit this. I told my husband, I said, I'm going to tell you something, and I really don't want to tell you this. And he started laughing, and he said, go ahead. I said, no, I really don't want to tell you this. So this is what I said to him. This was in the video. And this guy who was lecturing, he said, when you have a messy environment, it's just a reflection of what's happening in your mind. And when I told my husband that, I thought he was laughing so hard, I thought he was going to fall off the chair, because I tend to have a bit of a messy environment. And so my commitment is, this is why this systems conversation is coming up. My commitment is that in 2025, I'm going to really work on systems in my own life that keep my desk clean. Because if you could see my desk right now, some of you who are like perfectionist neatnik people, you would probably choke on your spit, because you would go, oh my God. But I'm going to create those systems so that everything has a place. And when I handle something once, it goes in its spot. And I'm probably going to create a box that says, I don't know what to do with this. Because sometimes there's just things I don't know what to do with. I need them, or I think I need them, but I don't know what to do with them. But I'm going to do that because I want to have a clear mind. I want to be able to every day wake up and feel at ease, because things are rolling and moving along. And I do that in my business, but I've noticed that I'm not as good at it at home, or like in my home office, right? That's what I'm not as good at. And I'm committed to making those systems work for me. So listen, I'm in the trenches with you, friend. That's all. And I'm glad I have CBA, because it helps me too, just as well as everybody else. So go to rhondanelson.com/CBA, click the link, find an appointment, or you can talk with me, or you can email support@rhondanelson.com, and we will give you that $500 discount before the end of the year. All right. See you next week on New Year's Eve. I'll be back with you then. Take care. See you then.